Barstool Sports and fantasy baseball on one show? Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Boonie. One name, all passion. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since 1981. This isn't just another A's podcast. This is the most informative and insightful show on the A's, period. We cover the A's every single day, breaking down games, delivering the latest team news, and giving you deep, thoughtful analysis you will not find anywhere else. If it's happening in Sacramento or in Las Vegas, we've got you covered. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Happy Friday, everybody. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. Not one, not two, but three guests join us on the show. As opening day is just around the corner, fantasy baseball drafts are taking place around the country. Dominic Martino and Matthew Onai from Locked On Fantasy Baseball join us today and discuss tips for your draft, where you can expect A-stars such as Lawrence Butler, Brett Rooker, and Mason Miller to go in the draft. That is a bit later. First, Frank the Tank from Barstool Sports is back and joins us for a little baseball fun as we discuss his beloved Mets and compare betting odds to the A's. Frank chimes in on his take on the A's leaving Oakland, and we discuss the old Moneyball theory. Should be an action-packed show. And before we get to Frank, today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Frank, you getting excited for baseball season? Only a couple weeks away, opening day.
Yep, I'm going to spring training on Wednesday. So.
Is that right? How many games are you going to check out in Florida?
Probably two.
Two? You know who they're playing?
Cardinals and Red Sox, I think. One day Red Sox, one day Cardinals.
You like the Mets squad this year?
I do.
They've had a couple injuries, Montas and Minaya, and
Minaya hopefully will be back quickly. Montas may not be back to June.
Okay.
Alvarez is down, but hey, it could be the Yankees. Look at that. The Yankees are in trouble.
Let me ask you a question. You brought up the Yankees. Is there an added, competitive vibe or a little bit more of a competitive spirit between the Mets and Yankees considering Soto?
I think that might have sparked a new chapter in the rivalry.
You like Soto? He's hitting 400 right now. Did you think you guys were going to get him?
No.
He's a beast, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Has a home run double today.
Did he really? Did you like Alonso? What'd you think of the whole Alonso deal? I know you've been kind of
handled that perfectly.
Yeah, they did.
He didn't have the market.
Cohen was kind of a beast during that negotiation, wasn't he?
Was that?
Cohen was kind of a beast in that negotiation.
Yep.
Yeah.
There wasn't a market for him. So the Mets.
You were down on Cohen for a while. Has that changed?
Yes, it is.
Are you surprised by Clay Holmes?
He's been terrific in spring training, yes.
Jesus. What is he, 9 innings pitched, 13 Ks?
Yeah, he's been terrific.
And then Doug Peterson. I thought Peterson was always underrated from last year, though.
Peterson struggled in 2023, but last year looked like he might have found something.
What do you think of the automatic ball strikes?
I like it.
Yeah, me too. The two challenges, and they keep them alive.
I think you should limit the challenges.
Even if they get it right?
What?
Even if they get it right?
Well, yeah, you got to limit it. You can't.
So right now you're allowed 2, but if you get the challenge correct, you keep your challenges.
Well,
So
I'm thinking more along the lines of 5 throughout the game,
and that's it.
and then you keep your challenge if you're right. But it's so fast.
Yeah, they do it fast. It's kind of fun. It adds a little bit something to it.
Yep.
I like it. Would you like to see extra innings changed a little bit?
I like to see the first 3 innings up into the 13th inning.
Yeah.
Traditional baseball, no ghost runner.
Let me tell you what
I think the ghost runner should be held off into the 13th inning.
let me tell you what they do in the Pioneer League. See what you think of this. At the end of 9, they clear out the field. Each manager picks one batter. They put out they pick a pitcher and they play a home run derby for a minute and a half.
No.
Major League Baseball odds have come out, and there are a few good ones with the Mets and the A's, and see who you would take considering the odds. All right. Obviously, with the Mets, the odds are going to be a lot weaker than the A's, but all right. To win the East, the Mets are plus 200, and to win the AL West, the A's are plus 2,500.
Obviously, like the Mets better in that situation. I think the Mets have a legitimate shot to win the East. The A's have to have so much go right, and the Astros might be back down a little bit this year, but not that far down. I think the Rangers are going to have a decent year, and I think the Mariners are going to be good this year. So
I think the Mariners have the best pitching, arguably, in all of baseball.
yeah. So
I'm going to take the A's. Let me tell you why. Last year in July and August, the A's had the 5th or 6th best record in all of baseball. And they gave 3 games away. Literally. They took actually a series in Citi Field.
I'm not going to say that the A's not going to be – this is not going to be how they were 2 years ago when they just couldn't win. I think the A's will maybe they could avoid 90 losses this year, which would be an improvement.
Okay. I earlier, about a month ago, and I've gone on record several times, I've guaranteed that they win the AL West. Everyone thinks I'm nuts in the Bay Area, but what else is new? And I just think they're better. I just think they're a better team from top to bottom. It's not me just saying crap. I think Lawrence Butler is an MVP candidate in the American League. I think he's a 30-30 guy this year. So we'll see what happens. They prove they can play that type of baseball over a stretch of time.
Yeah,
but
no, they're not going to be. They're not going to be pushovers.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not one of the 5 worst teams in baseball anymore.
I think they're one of the top 10 teams in baseball, but everyone thinks I'm nuts on that one.
Nuts on that one.
All right. Here's one you should take to the bank. Over under in wins. Athletics 71.5.
I'll take an over on that.
Mets 90.5.
I'll take the over on that.
Okay. Best record in all of baseball.
Probably
the Mets. The Mets are plus 1,600. The A's are plus 100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, no. The A's are not going to be the best record in baseball. No way. No way. No way in any way. No.
You don't got it, huh?
Yeah. No.
Everyone's sleeping on him. I'm telling you, everyone's sleeping. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Mets A's in October, but playing in a minor league ballpark. They got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Reminds me of a little bit of the start of 72 to 74 when everybody started coming together from Kansas City to Oakland.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is how, of course, I think they're going to draw very well.
Of course,
and I think it's going to put Sacramento really on a situation where they might be able to get an expansion team.
Where do you want to see an expansion team go to? I mean, I believe the markets are Nashville, Utah, and Sacramento.
I'd like to see teams go to Nashville and the Carolinas.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bets. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
The only way they were going to save the A's is if they gave them a new ballpark in 1995.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were
and
right.
would have put it away from the Coliseum area. They would have had to put it in an area where people could get to, and maybe they would went suburban, Fremont, or wherever, but Oakland was no longer going to work.
Here's the issue I have with that.
In fact, if you notice, they lost. And I don't tell me the Warriors left Oakland.
No, I'm not saying that. What I will say,
you lost the Raiders and you lost the A's. Those were the two teams of Oakland. The Warriors played in Oakland, but they were not. They were not Oakland team. They were the Bay Area's team. Correct. And now they're just in San Francisco. So anyone that's a fan of the A's, the Warriors in Oakland, just has to hop on a BART and get over there. So they didn't lose that team.
The A's were always third fiddle. Now, if this was the Raiders, the city of Oakland, they would have figured it out. I mean, they bent over for Al Davis. Yes. Al Davis comes in. He left them not once, but twice, and he treated them like crap in the process. And in the process, they ruined that stadium. They absolutely ruined that ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, the Mount Davis killed the stadium.
Oh,
used to have the hills in the back. Beautiful. I mean, it was never a what I would call a great baseball stadium, because it was a cookie cutter with the miles of foul territory. But at least it was that had a visual appeal with the hills in the background. You got rid of that. You put that Mount Davis up there. It looked ugly. It looked like it was the outfield seats with the football bleachers put up, and that wooden slat up there looked like it was just like something you find in a backyard when someone's just trying to hammer something together and they couldn't build it properly. So that's what it looked like. It was just ugly. It was unsightly. When the Raiders came back, they took the A's for granted. At the time, the A's, of course, you had the lockout, the strike, so that ended the '94 season. But you were only a couple of years removed from 3 straight trips to the World Series, 4 division titles in 5 years.
Jesus, yeah.
And you didn't take care of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And imagine if you took care of them in 1995. Maybe showing that you could build them a new stadium. Maybe they keep McGuire. Maybe he doesn't walk.
I don't know. I don't know with those.
Maybe when the Moneyball era and Moneyball is the most bullshit movie ever.
100%.
I mean, okay, yeah, they put together this ragtag bunch of players, okay. But you have
they didn't put together a ragtag of players. They had players.
Yeah. You have Barry Zito win the Cy Young that year. Was Mark Mulder still on the team?
Mark Mulder was the number 2 overall pick. Barry Zito was the number 9 overall pick. Tim Hudson was the SEC Player of the Year. These are
and Miguel Tejada was the MVP that year.
AL MVP player.
Those players are not even talked about or scantily mentioned in that movie.
You would have thought Scott Hatteberg was Babe Ruth.
I mean, you had Miguel Tejada, Barry Zito, Cy Young MVP that year. and like Billy Bean just put a team together magically out of spare parts. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. You had to fill some holes, but that team had stars.
Here's the issue I had with Moneyball. It set a precedence as well. It told owners and told the rest of the public, hey, you can win baseball games with nobodies, which
Yeah,
wasn't the reality of that team. They were extremely, extremely talented with great, great players that
yeah,
were great players in college that were high, high prospects.
yes, and it's a fallacy.
It's an absolute fallacy that now, like, hey, Moneyball, Moneyball, Moneyball. No, it's not. It's not Moneyball. You had really, really good players. And for that emblem to stick on the A's, like it's something I have an issue with. I completely disagree with the Moneyball narrative and what it's about. Because they had talent. These players didn't come from anywhere. You had three of the best players in all of baseball that weren't surprises. They were prospects.
Yeah, they took a book that was theoretical about changing the way baseball is looked at, and turned it into this underdog story, which the A's weren't.
Correct. And they made a big issue of Keith Falk also leaving free agency. He was their closer before, who was a great player. The guy they had who replaced him, they signed, was Billy Koch, who was the 4 overall pick from Clemson, played, I believe, with the Blue Jays before, and had 30-plus saves. He wasn't a secret either. So for that stigma and that whole idea to stick with the A's, I think hurt them because it now gave ownership and all these other teams, we're going to do it the Moneyball way, when in essence, Moneyball did not exist. It is a fallacy. It's false.
Yes.
Yes, you do have to get players that are under the radar that contribute, role players. You do have to get them. But that is no different from any other championship team in sports.
Right. And they just, like I said, the movie doesn't even talk about the season that Miguel Tejada had or Barry Zito. And they did this. One won the Cy Young, the other one won the MVP that year.
Unbelievable. Don't get me started about that at all. Predictions. What do you got? Who do you got in the winning the NL? Who do you got winning the AL?
It's going to be hard to beat the Dodgers.
It sure is, aren't they? God,
and out of the AL,
A's?
No. Seattle Mariners are going to shock the world.
You think? Yeah, well, if they can score more than 2 runs a game, yeah, that'd be okay. But that pitching staff's legit. That pitching staff is no question legit. Final 4, Seattle, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers?
Seattle, Baltimore, Mets, Dodgers.
Okay. Mets, Seattle in the World Series?
That would be nice.
Yeah. I got the A's going a long way. I think it's going to be kind of like the 86 Mets by the All-Star break for the A's, up like 21 games, but we'll see. Hey, Frank, thank you, man. I know I don't want to take too much of your time. Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch up again soon, bud.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care, pal. See you, bye.
Bye.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Joining me today is none other than Locked On Fantasy Baseball co-host Matthew Onai. Matthew is one of the sharpest minds in the fantasy game. He helps managers dominate their leagues with expert analysis, draft strategies, waiver wire gems, and with the fantasy baseball season right around the corner, there's no one better to help us get prepped. Matthew, welcome to the show. How is the fantasy grind treating you this year, and how many mock drafts have you done so far?
Oh my God. Fantasy grind is fun. I'm not gonna lie. This is the best time of the year. It's like Christmas next week. Biggest draft weekend of the year.
Yeah.
I've done about probably I would say 100, 150 mocks already.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. What's is that Witt injury going to hurt a little bit as far as the draft goes, or?
I'm waiting to see. I still haven't seen anything. Luckily it
Yeah.
wasn't his hand and his wrist like they suspected. Luckily it was his forearm. So if there's nothing broken yet, which I haven't heard anything unless you have.
I have not. No,
So
same.
oh, thank God. I was giving me a little fear here.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
we're pretty much okay unless, we find out something's broken. It's pretty hard to break your wrist. I mean, your forearm, though, that bone is sturdy as hell. So I would say we're okay. I'd still draft him top 3 without a doubt.
Before we get to everybody else, I'm going to have you help me with mine here. So the one draft I got into is one of those deals where they draft where you get to pick in the draft. For example, if you get the number 1 pick, you get to choose where in the draft you want it. It's a 14-team league. I got the 8th. I picked 14.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You don't like that spot, huh? In a snake draft coming back? No?
I mean, you can get some good value there. So I've been seeing a lot of like Corbin Carroll slipping a little bit over there, and I'm pretty excited for that. I mean, you could easily go like Vladdy and and I'm definitely grabbing an outfielder at that point. So like Vladdy and Yordan Alvarez, and like you're walking away like a beast at that point.
You
And then
wouldn't go you wouldn't go 2 hard pitchers, two stud pitchers? No.
No, I mean wait, hold on, this is points leagues
This is the categories.
Oh no, definitely not.
No.
So no, because I mean look, pitching is so deep this year, right? Like I could pick a million pitchers later and like especially like the SP1s. You could get those in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round and still walk away with like a stud. Whereas like outfielders and like, second and short are kind of flying off the board really quickly. So like I'd be trying to get like either 2 outfielders right off the bat and then you're really like good. Or
Gotcha.
I'd try and get, go outfield, either like a Vlad or a Matt Olson or Austin Riley. And then in the 2nd and the 3rd, probably try and scoop up like a second baseman or a shortstop and you're good in the 4th. I've been finding a lot of like getting my rankings here.
Right.
Like a Yamamoto, like Imanaga, Garrett Crochet, like all falling in like the 3rd, 4th round. And that's way better value than picking like a Strider, not a Strider, a Skubal or a Wheeler or such.
Do you like those leagues? It seems like some leagues are getting away from the wins and replacing them with quality starts. Do you like that?
I don't. So
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, quality starts is okay, cool. I just got to pick a pitcher that essentially goes 7.
Right. 6 innings. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm pretty
runs.
much all right. Like, I'm good. Like, there's benefits in a guy going 5 innings that are now going to get pushed down the rankings, and they don't get a QS, but they'll get a bunch of wins because they already won the game for you early if the team got up in an early lead. I'd much rather
like Snell early in the year, for example. Yeah, he's going to go 5. He's going to, that sort of thing. Before we get to the A's, I got to give you my nightmare story in my last year's league. Brett Rooker, 10-man league, wasn't drafted. I picked him up in the waiver wire in June, right? Wasn't doing a whole lot. And I dropped him towards the end of June.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right before the explosion.
Yeah. And someone grabbed him right off the bat. Oh. So as far as athletics, we're looking at Mason Miller is going to be one of the top 3 relievers.
I would say so.
What round do you see Mason Miller going in? Is he like more of like a top relievers? What, more of a 7th, 8th round type deal, depending on the amount of
I've
teams?
I've seen him go as high as the 5th in a 12-man league.
Okay,
I won't touch that though. So like I'm weird, right? Like and Dom is too. Like it's a matter of team construction, right? I feel like drafting closers early genuinely into like losing out on like like good hitters and better starting pitchers. So therefore, like
right.
I end up not with Mason Miller. If I ever have the opportunity falls to like the 8th round, that's where I would be like, yo, that's insane value. Then I consider it. But quite honestly, yeah, he's gonna be like in my rankings, I'm ranked 4 at overall at RP. And I think
Okay,
that it's gonna be stellar.
okay.
But I'm not grabbing him.
Who's 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 better for fantasy? Who's going first? I would think Butler before Rooker, no?
Yes.
And how
Without a
early is
doubt.
Butler going?
I mean, Butler's still going at a value. Let me
Yeah,
pull up.
he is.
ADP is actually kind of wild on him. Butler's coming off the board
Right.
at 70 overall, outfielder like 30, and
Okay.
that's
Wow.
insane steal.
Yeah, that seems low. And Rooker doesn't really provide a whole lot other than
Rooker's
homers and
going much
RBIs.
higher. Rooker's going at
He's going
47
much
right now.
higher.
Yeah, that one I don't see. I mean, you're getting power, probably good runs and ribs. I think the team is a lot better this year, but you're not getting average. Whereas like Butler, you're getting average. You're getting 5 categories out the wazoo. So you're gonna get your stolen bases. You're gonna have your power, who I think is gonna hit 30, and you're probably gonna have decent run production, ribby production. I mean, he's a 5 category, whereas Rooker, you're getting like 3 solid, and then like what, a 250 batting average.
Yeah, I mean last year he went about 290, but I mean they're great if he does that again. But
I don't foresee it.
you were talking a little bit. 2 questions here. You were talking a little bit before we started recording on Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Does spring training have any influence on drafts? I mean, I like Wilson too. He's having a terrible spring, but you like him.
Mm-hmm.
And is he more of a sleeper or is he going at a decent?
So he's probably gonna go undrafted. Like if
Yeah,
anything, he's going to be like a scratch off kind of pick. If I get him at the end of the draft with my last pick and I can see what happens because the prospect pedigree is there. And that's it. Like, I mean, he's slotted in the break camp, which is great. He could be one of those dudes though that makes it like a month in, gets sent down, and then comes back up in the middle
He
of the
goes
season and then goes
yeah,
off.
right.
Like like last year, what he did was really impressive, even though it was very short sample size. So I just want to see a little bit more from him. And so as a team and spring, I also don't take as serious either. He's still adjusting and it
Sure.
may take him, 2 months to get going. So I, he's probably going to be more of like a watch list guy. You draft, you put him on the watch list, and then if you see him getting hot, you pick him up and you ride the wave and see what happens.
For some of those drafts that don't have a roster spot, for example, you could just kind of are you seeing Nick Kurtz going in any of those or?
So yeah, if I have like an NA player and like I'm in a
Correct.
dynasty league, yeah, actually I just did that today. Nick Kurtz was my number 3 overall in a prospect draft today.
Is that
Funny enough.
right, huh?
Yeah, I picked him 3. It's kind of crazy. The dude from Cleveland went, Bazana, and
Lozano,
then
yeah.
I forgot the other guy. And
From
those were
Boston? No.
no, I would have to pull it up,
Yeah.
but quite honestly, like like that was my pick. I was like, okay, this kid's got insane power. He's got speed. I'm ready to rock with him. So he could be a possibly in like the next 2 years be a top 10 fantasy asset at first base. So I'm all about him.
Right now, though, as far as most mock drafts you've been seeing, 12-team leagues, are you only really seeing 3 athletics go right now? Miller, Butler, and Rooker? Or is Severino getting picked up at the end of a draft? Or is there anybody else that on the athletics we should keep an eye on?
So for me, like I yes, and mainly you do, but when I'm in a draft, I normally pick up Jeffrey Springs at the end of the draft. I'm kind of hoping that he kind of bounces back and we see what we saw in 23.
Yeah, right.
Right before he went down to TJ.
Yeah.
And if Springs comes back, you guys are actually probably won like a what do you call it? The lottery with him because
Yes.
he's going to be phenomenal.
He's one of the best left-handers in baseball. He to me in 23, he's like a left-handed Logan Webb. If he can get to that, if he's that guy again, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a lot to say, but in 23, he was that good though.
Yeah, and I think he has higher upside in the strikeouts category than Webb, because Webb,
Yeah.
I always thought he was gonna break that level, but never really went over a K per inning, whereas I think Springs can blow that out the water if he really was able to stay healthy for a whole year.
What's some of your strategies going in? What's the right, like, for example, I just asked you already. I was thinking about loading up on pitchers at 14 just to kind of load up. And when I come back, get them back. Are you thinking, I don't know, a top shortstop, get them early, or a top catcher, get them early? One of the positions that doesn't have a whole lot of depth in it.
So, outfield is actually, like, one of the most atrocious, especially since you have to start multiple, right? So,
Right.
I don't try to leave the top 5 rounds without 2. And then second base and
Okay.
short, if you don't make a move by round 6, they're gone. Um, you're in the lights of, like, and it gets kinda ugly really quick. You're at, like, shortstop, you're like, "Okay, I gotta deal with, like, a Nico Horner, Ezekiel Tovar," which I'm
Sure.
not mad at. Um,
But still, right. There's a
it's
big
still
gap
not great.
between, yeah.
And then at second base, it's like, okay, same thing with Nico Horner. Maybe you take a shot on, like, a second year of, like, a Luis Garcia Jr. Jackson Holiday really wasn't like the breath of fresh air we thought we was gonna be like his father. So, like, those are the options you're with, a lot of question marks. So, like, those 3 positions, there's serious talent drop-offs, and they're going super early for that reason. So, those are the positions I'm trying to grab nice and early.
I've heard your show, listened to it several times. What are some of your what's your sleeper? What's your top 3 sleepers this year?
Ooh, I got the list right here. You got me on the spot. I love it. So, for sure, Gavin Williams actually from Cleveland Guardians. I was almost gonna say the no word.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. But, he's having a monster spring, and he's looking sharp, and he was a top pitching prospect in baseball, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I've been waiting 2 years for this." Maybe year 3 is the breakout year.
Gavin Williams, huh?
Mhm. He's one of my favorite ones this year. And then we got Rhett Lauder from the Reds. He's another pitcher that I'm, like, super, like, zoned in on, and these 2 are, like, your last picks of your draft. They're free 99. ADP is outrageous. I think Lauder's going at, like, 400 and change.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, honestly, I could give you 2, but I'll go hitter
Yes.
this time. Bryson Stott from the Phillies.
Okay. I heard you talking about that on your show. You
Mhm.
like Stott, huh?
I do, and I thought last year was gonna be the year, but then he messed up his elbow going into the season within the first month of April, and then it pretty much hampered him all season. He could be a top end second baseman. You can get him super late. He's never gonna be a power guy, but he's gonna have stolen bases, he's gonna have good average. But if he hits 15 to 20 home runs and on a team that he'll probably get about 85 runs and 85 ribs because he hits lower in that lineup, unfortunately, that's a steal going where he's going right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, where can everyone find you?
So obviously you can find me at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and you can also find me at Matthew_Onai at on X, Twitter, whatever we call it these days.
Right. Hey, Matt, hey, thanks so much, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the off season. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a great weekend, and I will check you guys out on Monday. Take it easy.